Hi friends, in this particular video we are going to discuss 5 important MCQs on the securities market, and this is part of the series in which we are regularly covering the important topics and contents with regard to the securities market which are very important for the upcoming SEBI Grade A 2018 examination. The topic for this particular video is investor protection. So friends, we have been working in this direction of guiding students for competitive examinations for the past few years, and we have been blessed with some of the very amazing results. In RBI Grade B 2017, 27 of our students, they made it to the final list. And in NABARD Grade A 2018, 20 of our students, they were selected in the final list. And RBI Grade AB 2018, the final result is still awaited, but again we are positive on this front also. Now before directly jumping onto the questions, let me quickly tell you about the courses which we are presently running for SEBI Grade A 2018. So we are offering these courses. You can avail the course for Security Market Phase 1 and Phase 2, or you can also choose the Phase 1 mock test along with this Securities Market course. And there is this full course for Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the SEBI Grade A. So you can choose as per your requirement, and also you can avail attractive discounts by using the codes given below. Now, in order to channelize your preparation in a better way and in order to prepare you for all the related competitive examinations in one go, we are also providing some combo courses for SEBI, RBI and NABARD. So you can choose the combo courses also if you are preparing for all these examinations. Again, you can avail discounts by using the discount codes mentioned here. So friends, let's start with the first question. Equity shareholders are the real owner of the company. Which of the following are the rights of investors as the shareholders of the company? So the persons who have invested their money as an equity shareholder, what are their rights? To receive copies of the annual report containing the balance sheet, the profit and loss account, and the auditor's report. To participate and vote in general meetings through proxy. To apply for the winding up of the company. And there are different permutations and combinations in the answers. So briefly, we must know what are the different rights which are available to investors as the shareholders in order to answer this question. So let's discuss the rights of investor as a shareholder. Now here are the different rights which an investor gets whenever he invests his money as an equity shareholder. So the person has the right to receive the share certificates on allotment of securities, but these days most of these things are being organized in a dematerialized mode only, and the shares are being given in a demat form, and this is equally good. And next is to receive copies of the annual report, and this annual report contains all the financial documents which are important for the investors as well as the public to know about the company. So they include the balance sheet, the profit and loss account or income statement, and the report of the auditor who has audited the financial statements, and he has vouched on the authenticity of these financial statements. Next is to participate and vote in the general meetings. Now in the case of companies, regular general meetings are to be organized as per the relevant company law framework, and in these general meetings there are different invitations which are given to the shareholders to participate and vote in these, and the shareholder, he can personally attend the meeting or he can appoint a proxy which can on his behalf attend and vote in this meeting. Next is to receive dividends in due time once approved in the general meeting. Now the return which is received by the equity shareholder is in the form of dividend, and these dividends, they are declared in the general meetings, and once they are declared, once they are approved, then they have entitled to a right to receive this dividend. So this becomes a right. Next is to receive corporate benefits like rights, bonus, etc. once approved. So rights issue, bonus issue, they're the different kinds of issue of securities by the company, and they are also entitled to these kinds of benefits once they are approved in the general meeting. Next is to apply to the National Company Law Tribunal to call or direct the calling of an annual general meeting. Now there are some circumstances which have been mentioned under the company's law which state in these cases the shareholders, they can apply that National Company Law Tribunal should direct the company to call for an annual general meeting. So then they can also avail this particular benefit which has been given to them under the law. Next is to inspect the minute books of the general meeting and to receive copies thereof. Now, whenever the general meetings they are organized, their records are maintained in a separate minute books. So they can access those minutes books. They can proceed against the company by way of civil or criminal proceedings. So they can initiate any action against the company if there is need of such action. They can also apply for winding up of the company. So some rights have been given to the shareholders that they can apply for winding up of the company in certain cases. Next is to receive the residual proceeds in case of winding up. So we know that in the case of winding up the equity shareholders, they come in the last. So whatever whatever left amount is there, whatever the residual amount is there, they are entitled to that particular amount as a right. To receive offer to subscribe the right share in case there is a further issue of shares. So whenever the company comes up with the further issue of shares, they have a right that first the shares will be offered to them as a right share. Next is to receive offer in case of takeover or buyback under SEBI regulations. So they have also entitled to the right that whenever a company takes over another company or whenever the company is buying back its own shares from the market, then also they will receive an offer that if they want to sell their shares to the company, then they have this option to exercise it. Now these are the different rights which are available to an investor as a shareholder. Now you may find that these rights, they are very broad based and open ended. So that's why it's vital to note that these rights, they are not necessarily absolute, and the exercise of these rights in actual sense, it depends on the provisions of that particular statute in which they are mentioned, which is mostly the company's law. So if the company law, it makes a provision for applying for the winding up of the company, it also prescribes the condition in which these powers can be exercised. So if those conditions are being satisfied, then they can apply for the winding up of the company. So these provisions, these rights have to be read in framework of the conditions specified in the different laws. So friends, now we can easily answer this question that all these rights, they are available to the shareholders of the company, and their rights are very broad. So on the basis of our discussion which we have just had in the previous slides, we can conclude that the rights of shareholder, they are not a narrow one. They're very broad rights, and all these rights, they are given to such shareholders as investors. So in this case, the answer is going to be option number D, that is all of the above. Now let's move to the next question. Redressal of investor grievances is one of the key components of SEBI's efforts to protect the interest of investors in securities. Arrange the following agencies, authorities in the order in which the investor should approach them in the case of a complaint against a listed company or an intermediary registered with SEBI. So it says that for investor grievance redressal, SEBI is having an effective, proper mechanism. So it's saying that if an investor has a grievance, he has a complaint against the listed company or any intermediary, then what is the procedure? What is the step-by-step authorities or the procedure which that person should follow? And we are given the different kinds of options which are there. First one is investor grievance redressal committee. Second is concerned company intermediary. Third is stock exchange or depository. And fourth is filing for arbitration. So we have to arrange all these in the correct order. So to answer this, we must be aware about the grievance redressal mechanism which is available to the investors as per the framework provided by SEBI. So if you talk about the grievance redressal mechanism, now investors, they should first approach the concerned company or the intermediary against which there has to be a complaint. Now this is very logical, and this has to be done because they should first let the company know that they have a grievance, they have a complaint against the company, so that if then and there only the complaint can be addressed, then it's very good. But if they're not satisfied with the response which is received from the company or the intermediary, they can launch their grievance with the stock exchange or a depository. So if they are not satisfied, they can go to stock exchange or a depository, and in case of unsatisfactory redressal, they have also set up grievance redressal committees, investor grievance redressal committees, and regional investor complaints resolution committee. So if they are still not satisfied with the stock exchanges or depositories, they can visit these committees, and these committees, they act as a forum for mediation. So they try to act as a mediator and try to solve the disputes which have arisen between the parties. And if the dispute is still not resolved, an investor can file arbitration under the rules and regulations of the respective stock exchange. So there is this another facility of arbitration which is available. And then also, if you are not able to settle your disputes, you can approach the courts and the legal mechanism in the country. So broadly, with regard to the SEBI framework, we have to remember that first you have to approach the concerned company. then you have to approach the stock exchange or a depository, then you have to approach the redressal committee, and then you can file for arbitration. So this is the broad procedure or broad process involved in investor redressal mechanism. Now what is arbitration? Now, arbitration is a quasi-judicial process of settlement of disputes. So it is not totally judicial, but it is similar to judicial. So that's why it's quasi-judicial. It appears like judicial process of settlement of disputes, and it is a quicker legal resolution mechanism through which the disputes can be settled among themselves by the parties to the disputes. So this framework is governed by the bylaws, circulars, and regulations which are issued by the exchange and SEBI from time to time. So this is a mechanism by which they can themselves settle the disputes among themselves only. So this is arbitration. So friends, now we can easily answer this question that the proper series of steps. The first one is concerned company, second is stock exchange or depository, third is grievance redressal committee, and fourth is filing of arbitration. So the correct answer is going to be option number C. Now let's move to the next question. Which of the following is incorrect with regard to the Office of Investor Assistance and Education of SEBI? So first of all, we must be aware that there is a separate Office of Investor Assistance and Education under the SEBI. So now we have to read the statements and identify the incorrect one. Office will support SEBI's operations by handling investor complaints centrally, and it is the focal point of SEBI's investor education effort. Office would be the single point interface with investors, and it would receive complaints relating to all the departments, forward to the concerned departments, follow up and respond to the investors. So it will receive all the different sets of complaints. This is written. Office will not receive complaints relating to the issues, transfer of shares, dividends, compliance with listing conditions, corporate governance issues, which are under the purview of corporation finance department. All are correct or none of the above. So we have to find the incorrect statement. Now if we talk about the Office of Investor Assistance and Education, now this office is the nodal office. This office is the nodal office to assist the investor in case of any grievance, any complaint, and to promote the investor education. Now this is a single point interface with investors. So investor, they are having complaints with any department of the SEBI, they can approach this particular department if they have any complaint with regard to any department. So they need not approach the concerned department, they can simply approach this particular office. So even if there is any kind of issue which has to be addressed by any other department, this will provide the interface to ultimately redress the issue to the other department. And for this purpose, they will set up the necessary systems and procedures. Further, they will also receive the complaints which are relating to issues, transfer of shares, dividends, compliance with listing conditions, and corporate governance issues. So this domain is very wide, and even there is any dispute with regard to issues, with regard to transfer of shares, with regard to dividend, or any corporate governance issues, which though they fall under the purview of corporate finance department, still they will receive the complaints and they will necessarily take the follow-up action. So their scope is very wide. This is what we have to remember. So now we can easily answer this question that the option number 3, which said that they will not receive the complaints with regard to issues, transfer of shares, dividends, etc. This is going to be the incorrect one. So the answer is option number C. Now let's move to the next question. Dash is a web-based centralized grievance redressal system of SEBI. So this is a very short and crisp question. Options are e-redress, scores, Nivaran, e-nivesh, or none of the above. So to answer this question, we must be aware about the scores system. Now scores stand for SEBI Complaints Redress System. So the system is there by the name of SEBI Complaints Redress System, that is scores, which is a web-based centralized grievance redressal system of SEBI. So if the investors, they have any complaint, they can file using this particular portal. So this score portal enables the investor to lodge and follow up their complaints. So they can even track the status of their complaint using this particular portal. And this enables the market intermediaries and the listed companies to receive the complaints online from the investors, redress those complaints, and report the redressal online. So if there is any kind of issue with regard to any company or any intermediary like depository or stockbroker, etc., then through this scores platform, the investor can report that it, and it will be ultimately forwarded to the concerned market intermediary for necessary action, which can also be initiated online only. Now, if the investor is not familiar with this core system, it is an online system, then there is also facility of physical filing of the complaints at any of the offices of SEBI. So this is how this particular portal looks like. So this is the scores portal and SEBI complaints redress system, as you can see, and you can file your complaints. You can log in to lodge the complaints, and you can also track the status of your previous complaints. So this is the scores portal. So now we can easily answer this question that the scores is a web-based centralized grievance redressal system of SEBI, and the answer to this is going to be option number B. Next question. Investor Education and Protection Fund has been established under section 125 of the Companies Act for promotion of investors' awareness and protection of the interest of investors. So it says that we have set up this Investor Education and Protection Fund, and in this particular fund, different amounts they are credited or transferred, like application money received by the companies for allotment of securities and due for a refund, matured deposits with companies, etc. So the amount is transferred to these particular funds if it is unclaimed. So it is asking for being credited to this particular fund, such amounts shall have to be unclaimed or unpaid for a period of. So it is asking that when the amount will be transferred to this particular fund, what is the time period for which the amount should be pending? Like what should be the amount period for which the application money which has to be refunded has not been refunded, after which it is to be transferred to this particular fund. So what is the time till which we should wait before transferring the money? Options are 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, or none of the above. Now, if you talk about this Investor Education and Protection Fund, so this particular fund has been set up to promote investor education and protection in the country. Now, for the purpose of funding this particular fund, the money is obtained from different sources, and they include the amount which is given by the central government by way of grant. So central government can give a grant. Central government, state governments, companies, or any other institutions, they can also give donations. Also, if there is any amount in the unpaid dividend account of the companies, if they're lying, then also they can be transferred to this particular fund as per the provisions of dividend law. Next is amount lying in the Investor Education and Protection Fund under section 205C of the Companies Act 1956. So if there was any amount which was left under the previous company law, it has to be transferred to this particular fund only. Also, the interest or the other income received out of investments made from the fund. So if the fund, it has received a grant from the central government and it invested the money in certain shares, and now it has earned some interest or income on that, then this particular income will also be credited to this fund. Next is the application money received by the companies for allotment of any securities, and this is due for a refund. So the securities, they could not be allotted, and the amount it was to be refunded, but now it could not be refunded due to any reason. Next is matured deposits with the companies other than banking companies. So if the deposits were taken by the companies and now they have matured and now they have to repay those deposits, but they are not able to the person who gave them these deposits. Next is matured debentures with the companies. Next is redemption amount of preference shares remaining unpaid. So if any debenture or preference shares, they were issued by the company and now they have matured, and the company has to repay the amount which it borrowed through these securities, but the company is not able to trace the person to whom this amount has to be returned. So in these kinds of cases, in the cases mentioned from F to I point, that is application money to be refunded, matured deposits, debentures, and preference shares, if the amount is remaining unclaimed and unpaid for a period of 7 years from the date it became due for payment, then it can be transferred to this Investor Education and Protection Fund. So we have to wait for 7 years before transferring the money to this particular fund. So now we can easily answer this question, that for the purpose of being credited to this particular fund, such amount shall have to be unclaimed and unpaid for a period of 7 years. So the answer is option number D. So friends, this was all about our discussion on some of the very important MCQs pertaining to the securities market. And if you have any query or you wish to know more about our courses, you can visit our website, which is www.edutap.co.in, or you can drop us a mail at hello@edutap.co.in, or you can call us at 8146 207 241. So friends, if you found this video useful, please like the same, share it with your friends and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you wish to get regular updates on Telegram, you can subscribe to our Telegram channel, the link of which is given here as well as in the description to this particular video. And subscribing to our Telegram channel is also going to help you fetch the PDFs of all the discussions which we are doing on YouTube. So thank you friends.